What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Steve Holm. Thank y'all for joining me on another episode of The Real. We got a big one tonight. We've got our board member, newly elected chaplain, Mr. John Crossman, will be joining us. Few questions from you all over the past couple of days. Now, I'm not gonna lie, y'all scared me a little bit because I think I had posted it in a bunch of different places, and I wasn't getting like any any feedback. It was like one guy had basically posted a question during the first day, so I was just like, well, maybe y'all will come around. And then the next day I had it up and nothing. And so y'all actually came through today. So I figured out sometimes you guys don't see messages. Facebook is so funky like that. You got to do all of this crazy stuff to get people to see your messages and all of that stuff. But nonetheless, you guys came through. I got quite a few good questions that we'll be talking with John later on tonight. And the biggest thing is that we are starting to open up our lines of communication with the Board of Trustees. So that's going to be later on in the show. Before we get into that, there are a couple of stories that I do want to touch on before we kind of get into that. And I'll try to get through these pretty quickly because I want to give enough time for John Crossman to for us to just have a really robust discussion about the institution, his new role, and where he sees things. And also for the people who don't know who he is, like, this will be a chance for you all to learn about John Crossman. So before we do that, let's get into it. Listen, I hate to start out on a sad kind of thing. So Kenyon is okay, but he is a Wildcat, and he was shot a couple of days ago in a SWAT thing shootout, and he got injured in his leg. I don't know the young man, Kenyon Ford, but we want to send our prayers out to his family and the people who are affected by him being injured in the line of duty. Listen, man, we come out of school and we just don't know where life is going to take us. And so I think, it's really important that we just think about those people who are doing very dangerous work. And especially when they're Wildcats and, part of our family. So our prayers and our thoughts. I don't know him again personally, so maybe there's some of you may know him. Let him know. The team here at the Ave is rooting for him to get back at it, because I know, he's doing his thing and he's doing a very, very, very tough job. All right. After that, what do we got? Saturday. There is a HBCU day vibe party. So Johnny Torrance is the person who mentioned it to me, but I wanted to make sure that you guys, if you're in Atlanta, that you know about it. It's taking place this coming Saturday at Flow Cocktail Lounge. And so I mention it because since we lost our alumni chapter up here in Atlanta, like, there's all of these different events that happen, but like, we almost have no representation there, or very, very, very small, or very few. So I want to make sure that if you're in the area, if you're in Atlanta, that you drop by and you represent Bethune Cookman at this event. Wear your paraphernalia or whatever, and just come out, support. I won't be there, but hopefully if you can make it, if you're not doing it on Saturday night, drop down the Flow Cocktail Lounge, and I'm pretty sure Johnny and all the other people that will be representing us will be happy to see another Wildcat in the place. All right, so let's get to some really cool stuff. Excuse me, let me close that. So and Sean Terica won't see this because I think they are in a meeting right now. The Metro Atlanta alumni chapter is in a meeting, and some of you may know she's the president of the chapter here. However, she was awarded most outstanding alumni or an outstanding alumni by United Negro College Fund at their big conference in Tennessee over the weekend, which is amazing. If you know Miss Hall, I just met her earlier this year, and I'm impressed by her. And she's everything that you want in a young alumni, somebody who's ready to work, who's got an open ear, who's just trying to do good for her institution, and she's doing it. So kudos to you, Sean. I'm watching you. I know I still owe you a call, but we gonna figure it out. I have not forgot about you. All right. And then on that same note, we have, let me close that. Let's close that. Maria, now I know I'm gonna mess your last name up. Utile, I think that's how you say that. She is Miss BCU United Negro College Fund, or maybe I don't know how they say it, but the United Negro College Fund. She's the Miss Bethune Cookman representative for that, and she basically was represented as well at the gala that was happening at the UNCF up in Tennessee. And so looks like she represented us well. She's also she's in the band. I think she plays trombone. I did a little research on her. So she's doing her thing, man. This is what we want to see from our students and our young alumni, and they're kind of coming up behind us. So we definitely want to make sure that they are that they're doing their thing. So listen, that's pretty much like the bulk of the new stuff that we have going on. Before we invite in John Crossman, a few things. So we're going to talk. I got a bunch of your questions, and we had to separate them. And my wife, I'm going to show you what she did. She gave me these note cards, and she separated it and cut all of the questions that you guys sent in like their own little bucket, so we can kind of keep a tab on what we're talking about. And there were some repeat questions, and so some of your questions may get answered by way of it's being similar to another question. But just know we got every question. We got we probably got maybe 40 or 50 really, listen, y'all, really good questions. Y'all are really locked into this, and I'm happy about it because I wanted to make sure that when we talk to John, that we can give him the stuff that we talk about on the Facebook groups and all of this stuff and all of that stuff. So I'm going to see, I think he's in our waiting room. If he's ready, let's see if we can get Mr. Crossman locked in with it. There he is. What's up, John?
Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. Thank you for joining the show. First of all, I'm elated that you and the board thought it not robbery to come on and kick it with the alumni and the students in a very, informal setting. And so I'm thankful for that because I don't know that they've ever done something like this or have even allowed it in the past. So I appreciate you for coming on, and I'm hoping that after we talk tonight that we will have taken that first step in easing the concerns of our alumni, students, and the surrounding community, because everybody right now is rooting for the school to get back to where we used to be. So thank you for coming here. And, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to let everybody know who John Crossman is, and I will hand it off to you, and then we'll get into our questions and stuff after that.
Sure. Oh, well, first off, I hope you had a happy birthday.
Oh, I
I'm
did.
glad you got
Hey,
some
I
time
did.
off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I did.
I haven't missed the show, but I'm glad you had a nice time on your birthday. And go Magic!
Right
So
on.
thanks for
Yeah.
the support
Right
there.
on. We're playing
Um,
tonight. Yeah.
well, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this show. I found your show. I watch it. I've been extremely impressed by it, and I also want you to know I've been humbled by it. I've watched your show and sat back and reflected, and it felt like, there's a lot of things I think that, were the right thing done, but maybe in the wrong tone, or maybe it wasn't done, and maybe as kind as it could have been. And I want you to know that I'm thankful for you, and I apologize to you that, for things happened in the past that's been hurtful and or upsetting to alumni. And I hope that this
Oh,
step
John, you're breaking up a little bit.
and get the conversations going. That should hopefully be helpful and healing moving forward. So
Okay.
let me start with that. Um, and then you want to say a little bit about my background and then how I got to this part? Would you like
Yeah,
to do
just
that?
just who is John Crossman? I mean,
Sure.
a lot of the alumni may be seeing you for the first time. So
Sure. Yeah. And also, if we don't get to something today, if a question's not answered, you're welcome to send it to me. I'm happy to email answer and share it, or I can come back. But if something's not covered, I do want you to know you can always call me. Like, we can
gotcha,
always talk, and I'm very
gotcha.
accessible. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. My dad was a United Methodist minister. He was a pastor and he was a civil rights leader. Most of his work was in Florida. In 1970, he was given the nickname the Bridge Builder for his work in the civil rights movement. And he continued to have that nickname throughout his career. In fact, before he passed, he founded a group in Central Florida called Bridge Builders to help work different communities together. My dad passed away about 21 years ago, and about 8 years ago, a group of Democrats and Republicans working together named a bridge after my dad in Central Florida. So if you get a chance, you can Google Reverend Ken Crossman Bridge. You can hear about that story, and that's my dad and that background. Now, if you know anything about sort of traditional, Protestant churches, they have big pulpit, little pulpit, and pastors are very sensitive about their pulpits. They don't often give them up, especially when they're in town. But my dad, starting in the late 60s and 70s, 80s, and 90s in his career, would give up his pulpit every single year for his dear friend, Dr. Oswald Bronson, and then would bring in the Bethune Cookman University concert chorale. So I moved 9 times growing up. I lived all over the state, and sometimes when people say, where's your hometown? I know for you is Orlando, like, and
Right.
you have those roots and the things you're connected to. Well, for me, I don't really feel that. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, went to high school in Melbourne, went to high school West Palm Beach, and then my parents in Jackson, Orlando. But wherever we moved, Bethune Cookman University came to us. Okay, for me, Bethune Cookman was the most consistent part of my childhood and had a strong influence on me. When my dad was in his final moments, he was with hospice, and I asked my dad, "What can we do to be helpful, to honor you after your passing?" And my dad asked that a scholarship be named in his memory at Bethune Cookman University, and we did that. And that scholarship is still in its place today, the Reverend Ken Crossman Scholarship. Since then, I've endowed 2 more. I've done one for real estate, Crossman Career Builders, and then I've done one in honoring my mother and supporting education and literary and writing. And so one of the things I would tell you is that when I pass away, and I hope that's a long time from now, but who knows? But I'll tell you right now, whenever that happens, you're welcome to come on the show and encourage people to donate to Bethune Cookman instead of sending flowers.
Right on.
So if somebody says, "Are you committed to BCU?" I don't know how to be more committed. That it was the last request of my father, and I'll tell you right here, right now, that's how would want people to honor me and my legacy. Vocational, I just want to mention this is that growing up as a pastor's kid, we lived a lot by faith, which is a nice way of saying we didn't have a lot of money. And so I went to college and I became a devout capitalist and I got into the real estate industry. And after getting in the real estate industry, I really noticed the lack of diversity. And so, sometimes people talk about the conversation of the wealth gap in America. The biggest separator in the wealth gap in America is in real estate. And so it really hit me that we needed to promote education, real estate education. And one of the ways to do that is through historically black colleges. So I founded the first real estate scholarship at Bethune Cookman, the first one at Florida A&M, and the first one at Jackson State University. And that's been part of my mission, is to try to promote real estate education at historically black colleges nationally. And so in my work and on that, I've spoken twice at the Congressional Black Caucus. I actually spoke on a panel with Congressman Cummings, which was a huge honor. I did another one with Congresswoman Corinne Brown. I got to meet President Obama and Michelle Obama while they were in office, which was pretty cool. And so that's another just big part of my life, is promoting real estate education for those purposes. When I got started on that, there was around 100 HBCUs in America, and none of them were teaching real estate. Can you imagine that? And so we worked really hard in that space. So as far as my background with BCU and my overall commitment to HBCUs, I see them as an important part of the fabric of our country. And I've seen great leaders come out of HBCUs, specifically Bethune-Cookman, and I'm honored to be a part of that.
That's amazing, and I think that should help some people gain some insight into the person who is a person who is on our board, a professional. And one of the questions, and I don't know, this is not in my questions, I don't think, but I'm going to ask it because you mentioned it, something made me think about it. Um, how does a person become a member of the board of trustees? Like, what is the, because obviously people are like, you just, some people think you can just apply, but explain to the audience what that process looks like.
Sure, sure. And let me just go big picture. When you think about the state of Florida, you have the state university system,
Right.
and then you have the community college system, and then obviously you have private colleges and universities. And just way background, I've been a trustee at Valencia College. I'm a trustee at Florida A&M University, and then I'm a trustee at Bethune-Cookman University. I was nominated by the then chair, Belvin Perry, nominated me for it. When you get nominated, you then have to then submit an application, and that application is a pretty big process. It's you obviously, when you're adding a trustee, one of the things typically boards will look at is like trying to add a certain skill set. When you look at a board of trustees, you want to add somebody who maybe has an academic background or a fundraising background or community involvement. And so I think that my background is that obviously I had raised a lot of money in different areas for HBCUs, and I've done a lot of networking. One of the things I try to do hard for Bethune is advocate in circles that BCU